Kohelet Policy Forum, a conservative think tank that helped shape much of the coalition's reform package, has recently acknowledged it goes too far and has announced that it has drafted a compromise deal that it says could bridge most of the gaps between the controversial plan's proponents and critics. In a statement, Kohelet says it supports a reform to curb the judiciary's alleged excessive power, but adds it views it as very important that changes be done with wide support. It says its members have in recent months held countless hours of covert talks with experts opposed to the overhaul, aimed at finding a widely accepted compromise version. And joining me now in studio is Gil Hoffman, Executive Director of Honest Reporting. Gil, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I want to ask you, what has changed? The Kohelet inspired this reform, and now they're calling for a different one.
After tremendous pressure, even the people who inspired Yariv Levin and Simcha Rothman to initiate this reform are saying that it goes too far and too fast. This gives them the moral backing to back down and to compromise right now when the Knesset is about to pass the final readings of the plan. And nothing that's happened legislatively so far matters. And between Kohelet and the efforts of the president and now the Bank of Israel governor, this all gives the momentum to have the compromises necessary if the leaders are willing to back down and take those steps.
Right. I want to ask you, there is a consensus that Israel's current judiciary needs a reform. How to achieve it is what has sparked this whole political crisis. Break down for our viewers how it's flawed to begin with, specifically when it comes to the Supreme Court and its judges.
Sure. So it goes from the current situation where the Supreme Court judges and their allies in the Bar Association have a majority in the Judicial Selection Committee to giving the governing coalition a majority. So the compromise is obviously half and half or somewhere in between. And when it comes to judicial override, which has already passed its first reading, instead of having a 61-vote majority, have it be a larger special majority. The compromises aren't that complicated. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Right. The Likud party sanctions one of its senior lawmakers, Member of Parliament Yuli Edelstein, for breaking party ranks and actually missing key votes tied to the judicial reform. How strong is the opposition within the Likud party?
We don't know yet. It can snowball because behind the scenes, you've got not just Yuli who didn't get a portfolio. You've got senior ministers, the defense minister, Nir Barkat, the trade minister, are telling Netanyahu that this is hurting the country. You need to stop it right now, and only you can stop it right now. He needs to be able to stand up to Yariv Levin to be able to do it.
I want to ask you, do you think that Netanyahu has lost control from the Likud party?
We don't know yet that either. It doesn't look like he has been able to be involved because the Attorney General hasn't let him.
Right.
But if behind the scenes now he tells Levin from Germany that he has to stop and to let the compromises happen. I talked to someone very close to Netanyahu who told me that he realizes that it's better for Netanyahu long term to get 70% of what he wants and not 98%, because then there'd be more staying power to the reforms.
Absolutely. Where does the President Herzog's proposal stand? I understand that he was supposed to release it perhaps this week even.
I still think he will reveal it by tomorrow. People in his office were working on it all night. There were negotiations with different sides involved all night in order to finalize it. It doesn't help that the Prime Minister's out of the country, or will be. But he will be presenting this moral message. He already said last week that the leaders are leading Israel off a cliff, that this is the last chance. It really is. The president's plan would replace all the legislation. Until now, it can solve everything, and if he's ignored, the collision course can't be prevented anymore. Right.
Will he succeed in bringing the coalition and the opposition to the negotiation table?
I think I'm the last one who still believes that he can do it. We have gone so far, it's gotten so intense. Only one man can stop it. It's the President of Israel, the most consensus figure in Israel's history, the president elected by the widest majority ever. If anyone can do it, he can do it, and I believe in him.
Do you have any idea of what his plan would look like? What are some of those points within his plan that are some sort of middle ground between the coalition and the opposition?
So isn't it amazing that it hasn't leaked yet?
It is, yeah.
You know, when there are so many people he's talking to. And so guessing is rather futile, but he's already said that you're going to pass different basic laws that will set for the future how we legislate bills in this country. What is a basic law? How do you overrule it? What is the relationship between the Supreme Court and the Knesset? And how you pass that gradually and not immediately over the next 2 weeks.
Gil Hoffman, Executive Director of Honest Reporting, thank you very much for joining us this morning.